Hello, my public to private sector warriors. Listen, I am keeping you in my prayers as you navigate yet another shutdown. And I want to give a big shout out to my big sis, Mrs. Brenda Jackson McKnight, who as of yesterday officially retired after 31 plus years, in combination with her years served honorably in the U.S. Army and then transitioning to become a civilian employee with both the Air Force and the Army. She is free this morning and hopefully is sleeping late. So go sis. Love you, and I am so happy for you. And boy, did you time this one right. But for those of you who are navigating yet another shutdown, listen, if you've been thinking about making the transition from public sector to private sector, know this, that it's not your experience, it's your positioning. And if you've been sending applications into the void and hearing nothing back, we're going to fix that today. Private sector employers don't have time to decide to decode a government resume. They skim, they judge, and they decide like that quickly. So I'm going to show you how exactly to make your resume scream value and impact in under 6 seconds. And so by the end of this content, you'll know what private sector hiring managers and recruiters actually look for, how ATS fits into the process, and the bullet formula that gets interviews as well as a 20-minute resume rescue you can do tonight. I'm Cynthia with HR by Namteek and the founder of Public to Private Sector Careers. And I'm a straight shooter. I've screened thousands of resumes and coached tons of public sector pros into private sector roles. This works if you work it. So we're going to cover the 6-second scan, the fit, impact, risk lens, ATS and keywords, bullet rewrites for public to private sector, structures and formatting, red flags, and the fixes, and also give you a checklist to make sure you cover all of the bases. So, what's the 6-second scan? What do private sector employers see first? Well, they do a ruthless skim, and they look at the headline and the title alignment. Does your headline match your role and your core skills block? Do not leave that core skills block out. It is so vitally important. And they want to see, do your skills map to the posting, like the tools, methods, and outcomes for the position that you're applying to. Then they look at your top 3 bullets. Do they show measurable impact in private sector language, or are they still written in government lingo? They also look at the readability. Is it a clean, modern, and scannable document? And your recent role relevance. Are your last 1 to 2 roles obviously related to the role you're wanting to transition to into the private sector? So, what you need to do is think about this. If a stranger can't name your target role and your number 1 strength in 6 seconds, rewrite the top third of your resume. Add a headline, such as customer success and operations, onboarding acceleration, time to value reduction, and adoption, which that's stakeholder adoption, whether or not you play a part in increasing that. Place a core skills block right under it 10 to 14 terms pulled from from the posting that you are applying to. Then rewrite the first 3 bullets of your most recent role to show results and write them in private sector language that private sector employers can relate to. Remember, GS 12 and 14 and what have you, those things don't mean anything to a private sector employer. So keep that in mind. Then there's the fit, impact, risk lens. How hiring managers decide if they want to continue to engage you for the role that you've applied for. Every private sector resume gets judged on these 3 things. First is fit or relevance. Do you look like you've solved this kind of problem before? Translation meaning mirror the posting's language. Honestly now, don't embellish, don't falsify. Have you used solved those problems using the tools or similar tools, and what were your outcomes? Then there's impact or results. Did you measurably improve speed, quality, stakeholder adoption, reduce cost, and increase revenue? Translation. Use numbers, quantify the impact that you've had on your workplace. That can be percentage change, hours saved, cycle time reduced, or errors avoided. Remember, this impacts of the organization's people, processes, and profits. Okay? Then the third bullet is risk, the confidence to bet on you. Is your story clear, recent, and repeatable? Can you do what you did before? Can you do it again? And can you do it in the private sector as well as or better than you did in the public sector? So the translation is, have you included simple bullets, consistent trajectory, focused scope, side projects that are greater than vague claims? So that leads you to developing your 1-line value proposition now, because remember, you're telling your story, giving a quick overview of your career story in that top third of your resume. But don't only concentrate on the resume, because remember, eventually you're going to be speaking to an employer, a potential employer in the private sector. And you want to have your CVP, your candidate value proposition, on point. So you want to say, I help, and you want to list the company type, reduce, and tell them what areas of business or impact you help to reduce, such as cost, risk, and time by, and that capability is implementing checklists, process improvement, standardizing procedures, things like that. So they can, and then you list the business outcome. So when you say it out loud, you want to put it in and you're satisfied with that because you're making it, because you feel that is very clear, then put it in your LinkedIn. Let it guide every bullet. So another thing that you need to be aware of as you transition is that in the private sector, ATSs are applicant tracking systems, and keywords go hand in hand. And what matters are those words that are there, and what doesn't matter is the government lingo. So think about this. Keywords get you seen, clarity gets you chosen. So put your skills, tools, and outcomes straight from the posting. Select those items that match what you have done for the public sector and group them by themes. For instance, if we're in a customer facing profession, make sure that you talk about onboarding, stakeholder adoption, and renewals. Then talk about ops and processes when you are referring to SOPs or standard operating procedures, playbooks, KPIs, which are key performance indicators, or OKRs, which are objectives, and I've drawn a blank. OKRs, objectives, key in results, as well as dashboards. Then refer to compliance and risk by talking about audit readiness, exception rate, and remediation. And if you're a techie in a tech field, talk about your tech and tools that you used to improve performance and positively impact business, utilizing tools like Salesforce, Zendesk, Jira, Asana, SQL Basics, Excel, or Google Sheets, and Power Query. That's going to show how technologically advanced you are. Then, format. Gosh, I cannot stress this enough. A lot of people think that when they create their resumes with these, with a lot of color or, a lot of different indentations, what have you, that visual appeal is what the manager is looking for. No, to be honest with you, the manager is just looking for your proof that you have what it takes for success on the job. I've seen some of the most basic resumes, no color, on white paper and black ink, but they did an excellent job of giving that overview, high-level overview of their career, their area of expertise, their experience in their area of expertise. So don't spend a lot of time on formatting. Make sure it's neat, but don't try and make it all fancy, what have you. Make it easy to read. So use standard section headers like summary, skills, experience, and education. Avoid text boxes. See, I'm telling you right now. Don't use headers and footers unless it's only for critical content, and no images in the main body of your resume. This is not an art project. Then save as a docs, a Word document, .docx for online forms, or PDF when emailing or the posting allows, if the posting allows PDF emailing, or if it accepts that particular format of a document. Use clean bullets, a true bullet or a dash, 10 to 12 point font, 1/2 to 1 inch margins, and strong contrast. So don't buy into this myth that ATS isn't that ATS is a villain. It isn't. Irrelevance is. So if your skills and outcomes mirror the posting, you're in the game. Next, think about bullet rewrites and translating them for the private sector. And follow this rule that the bullet formula is to have the action plus the business lever plus the metric plus the method / context. And here's what I mean. If your bullet point previously or currently reads on your resume, coordinated multi-department work groups to update policy, make sure you translate that into private sector speech with cut policy rollout time by 42%, converting 14-page guidance into a 1-page decision tree and communications kit used by 9 teams. So the action is that you cut the policy rollout by 42%. The business lever was converting the business lever is time, and then the metric is the 42%, and the method or context was by converting that 14-page guidance into a 1-page decision tree. Hey, you just converted that bullet into something that private sector employers can relate to. Then let's see. The next is, if you're one of the bullet points on your resume currently reads something like managed annual compliance reporting, try changing it to something like reduced audit cycle time 37% via automated intake. And you can put in parentheses that you utilize Power Query plus standardized submissions. Again, action, reduced, business lever, the audit cycle, the metric, 37%, because that was your impact, and the method or context. You did so by implementing automated intakes, an automated intake process that is built with Power Query, and standardizing submissions. So just keep that in mind as you rewrite those bullet points from government or public sector lingo into private sector language. That will increase your chances of keeping the hiring manager in the private sector engaged. If you don't have numbers that you can include in your impact, think about other metric ideas that you can use. For instance, cycle time, exceptions, rework hours, backing, completion rate, adoption, service level agreement hits, dollars saved, excess spend avoided, or tickets reduced. Those are some metrics that you can include if you don't have actual numbers available. And always be honest. I can't stress that to you enough, because if you're not honest, it's going to show up in your interview when you have to explain these things that you were saying that you can and have done, and it's going to show up in your on-the-job performance if you're fortunate enough to get a job offer, and then it could impact your success in the private sector if it's found that you don't have the capabilities that you claimed you did. Think about the structure and the layout of your resume that's gonna win skims, that ruthless skim. So, as I said earlier, make sure you have a header that includes your name, and your name should be the largest thing in your header at the very top of your resume, because your name is who you are. You can put your city and state name. These days, people don't put their home addresses because there are still people who work remotely, and so it's not as important anymore. When you get that job offer and it's time for them to enter you into their HRIS system, their HR information system where they keep employee data, then that'll be the time to share your home or mailing address at that time. Make sure you have a business appropriate email address, your best contact phone number, and then your custom LinkedIn URL. Your headline plus your candidate value proposition, or your CVP, should include your target role plus the value that you promise to bring to the table. In your core skills block, you want to have 10 to 14 keywords from the posting grouped in, themes or light segments. And when I say group, it doesn't mean that you have to have like a separation line after each segment, but if you're customer facing, make sure you list the skills associated with being a person in a customer facing role. And once you list all of those, then immediately start with the others that may relate to money handling, like reducing costs or increasing revenue, things like that. Contract success, contract obtaining, or being awarded contracts successfully. And then have your separate experience section in reverse chronological order. Each should have 4 to 6 bullets per recent role. You want to quantify as much as you possibly can and lead with outcomes. Like I just showed you, those rewrites of the bullet points, those led with outcomes: reduced, increased, things like that, eliminated. So those are your outcomes, and you want to lead those statements with those types of outcomes. Then with projects, you can have a project section, which is optional and very powerful, not required. It should be short, relevant, and measurable. So we don't want, private sector employers do not want every project you ever worked on. Just choose 1 or 2 key projects that you worked on successfully within the last 4 to 5 years that are directly related to the role that you are asking for consideration for. Then definitely have your education and certification section, where you list your formal education like degrees and training, certifications, notable job-related training. You do not have to put your year of graduation, especially if, like me, I graduated from high school in 1985, graduated from undergrad in 1989, and then graduate school, I finished graduate school in 2005. That's already been 20 years. So yes, you don't want to give them the opportunity to age you or guess your age and start operating around those inherent biases that everyone has. Anyone who says that they don't have some sort of bias, they're not being truthful with themselves. They're being delusional. So don't help them by giving them information that they really don't have to have because it's not job related. Okay? And don't forget to include your awards and extras, like a few key job-related awards, a few key speaking events, and if you're published in any publications, share maybe 1 or 2 notable one, and that's only if they reinforce your fit for the role that you've applied for. Make sure that your resume is, most of us can't get our resume on 1 page. It would be absolutely wonderful if we could, but definitely try to have it be no more than 2 pages, and that should be 2 pages should be for someone who has deep experience, but they should still be able to list um, their experience in a skimmable format that allows the private sector manager to take it all in within those 6 seconds and decide that they're going to invite you for an interview. Now let's talk about red flags and fixes. Don't list just duties without outcomes. Rewrite them with some sort of metrics. Even if you don't have the numbers, at least say reduced, increased, stabilized, what have you, implemented. Then avoid the jargon soup. Use business terms like cycle time, adoption, and ROI, or return on investment. Don't be too broad. Pick a lane, 3 target roles, and tailor your headline and first bullets. Okay, think about what's core to success in the position that you're interested in. Then avoid the formatting chaos, as I said earlier. Use one font, consistent bullets, aligned dates, and leave enough white space so that your resume doesn't seem like it's been squeezed into the space. Have you ever seen someone driving a Toyota Yaris, big guy, or heavy, full figure female, and they seem like they kind of pack themselves into the car? I felt like that when I traveled for work recently, and the rental car company gave me a Corolla to drive. I normally drive a 7-seater SUV, so you don't want your resume to look like I felt going from my 7-seater SUV to having to take a business trip driving a Toyota Corolla. It's not comfortable. It's not engaging, not attractive. So I leave you with that visual, okay? Don't make your resume look like that. Then add tools that you actually use. Don't overreach. And remember, for every tool, there's going to be another one of its type. I mean, several. So what you just want to do is let them know that you actually use a relevant tool that will allow you to easily be able to acclimate to the tool that they use if you never use the exact tool that they use, job-related tool, that is. And so do your 20-minute resume rescue. Do this tonight. Follow this guidance, and your resume will be ready for its private sector debut. So I am going to give you a checklist that you can use to do your 20-minute resume rescue. Yeah, it doesn't have to, it's not that difficult. It's not as difficult as most people make it to tailor your resume, even if you are transitioning from public to private sector. So I have a bonus for you that if you're a public sector employee who wants to make that transition to private sector, I'm going to do some emergency training this week. And the first one I'm going to do is going to be tonight at 8 p.m. I'm going to put the link in the description below, and or at the end if you're reading this as an article. And I would love to see you. The training is free. However, pre-registration is required. I would love to have you here with me in that session so that I can help walk you through this 20-minute resume rewrite so that you can fast track. If you're tired of the government shutdowns and you have responsibilities, financial responsibilities, what have you, want to continue to provide for your family, and you want to break into the private sector, I want to be a part of your success, your transition success. So if this content has helped you, I ask you to subscribe, to share it with colleagues, and to comment in the comments the word in all caps, rescue, for my free public to private resume rescue checklist. If you put that in the comment, then I'll know that you are serious. And then if you register for the free training, I will also be ready to greet you at 8 p.m. Eastern Time this evening. And when you're ready for done with you support, then that includes your resume, your LinkedIn upgrade, your story bank, your outreach plan, say public to private, and I'll send the next steps to you as well. I'm so happy that you chose my channel to stop by, because my goal is to help your public to private sector transition be as smooth as possible. So again, I look forward to you being with me in my emergency free training this evening, and I look forward to seeing you again to take in some of this great content that I'm releasing. So also click on the like, on the thumbs up button, to let everybody know that this is great content, that you got value from it, and that you think that others need to see this content as well. So until next time, smooth public to private transition to you. See you tonight. Bye-bye.